You know, I didn't really care that much about the 2025 NFL season anyway. Yeah, of course, the Giants laid an egg. It's just another year of being disastrous, I would imagine. But you know what I am excited for? Man, the 2026 NFL draft. That can't get here soon enough, right? So we are jumping in my first 2026 NFL mock draft of the actual college and NFL season. I did a way too early NFL mock draft days after the 2025 NFL draft. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can do so. And some things have changed a little bit as you get through summer scouting and into the actual college football season. We had a great week one of games for both college football and the NFL. And week two of college football, the slate didn't look as good, but the games really delivered. There were some super exciting games. I was down in Mobile, Alabama, watching South Alabama take on Tulane. That game ended up being really exciting, came down to the wire. The Mississippi State game against Arizona State was electric. And all that to say, I'm excited for this college football season and NFL, and even if my team in the NFL isn't great, we've got the NFL draft to look forward to. And we're going to kick things off at number one with Arch Manning. I did not include Arch Manning in my way too early 2026 NFL mock draft for a couple of reasons. One, we didn't really know what we were going to get, right? And two, I don't think he's going to declare. But in the past, if a player is draft eligible, I throw them in. So why should it be any different for Arch Manning? And because it's so early in the year, this gives me a really good opportunity to talk about a lot of these players. And it's less so about the player to team fit. Is it a prediction? Yes, I guess. But it's less about that as we are in September and the NFL draft isn't until late April. For Arch, he looked over the past couple of weeks like what he is. Really talented, really inexperienced. It's highly theorized that he's dealing with a shoulder injury right now. And I think that is affecting some of his drive on the football and I think causing some mechanical issues that we really didn't see very much last year in limited snaps, albeit. But this quarterback class, in a similar way to last year's, just isn't amazing. Right now, there are going to be players that rise up to the top, of course, with good seasons or teams that think they can get the most out of that player and they draft them high because it's the quarterback. The quarterback's the most valuable position in pro sports. They are going to be the highest drafted players in the draft. That's just what happens. Now, is Arch in the conversation to be the first quarterback off the board? I think absolutely. He really bounced back against San Jose State, as you would expect, but he's still raw, still inexperienced, still is not playing at a perfect level, but none of these quarterbacks really are. If you go back to 2024, Garrett Nussmeier still didn't really play his best in big games, which is what you're looking for from a lot of these prospects. He looked very good against Clemson. Cade Klubnik did not exactly pass that test. Lenore Sellers is still extremely raw, but the talent is overwhelming. And we'll talk about more of these players as I draft them off the board, because I'm going to get a lot of these quarterbacks off the board. We're going to talk about a lot of these QBs. But I think bottom line, with the Browns, their owner has so much pull, Jimmy Haslam. There's so much connection to the Manning family there. And Arch, I think, could be as good as any of the quarterbacks in this draft class. He's as talented as any of them. Have we seen it yet? Not fully. And newsflash, that's what mock drafting really is. That's what the NFL draft is taking shots on players with big-time upside, hoping you can get the most out of them with your coaching staff. And Arch has really as much potential as almost anybody in this draft class, especially so among quarterbacks. At number two, this is almost more for the storyline than anything else. I'm going Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback out of LSU, to stay in Louisiana, but also to play for his dad, who is the offensive coordinator for the Saints. It's kind of an interesting connection there. You think, okay, would the Saints really do that? But Nussmeier is seemingly as high of a leadership type of player as you could ever find. The guy is the son of an NFL offensive coordinator. He's really smart. He's tough. Again, you're looking for more in some of the big games, but in terms of poise and processing ability, it doesn't really get a whole lot better than Garrett Nussmeier in this particular draft at quarterback. The guy is a pro's pro among college players, and I think he could end up being quite a high draft pick as a result. The physical tools are not amazing. They aren't, but he's capable of making some big-time throws. He's capable of showing you something with his legs. Is he a prototypical top 2 overall selection at quarterback? No, probably not. But I think he's got the intangible abilities that could see him be quite a valuable NFL starter as we get to the Giants at 3. Well, it seems like they have their quarterback of the future. Giants obviously invested a pretty high pick with Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, who looked very encouraging in preseason. I hope he ends up being a stud. So quarterback, not in play here for the G-men at 3. What do? Well, their offensive line is a mess. There's no doubt about that. And even though a guy like Peter Woods, I think, is the best player in the draft, in my opinion, when you're factoring in both ability and positional value, Downs is a great player. He plays safety. It's just not as valuable of a position. I would weight that accordingly. I think Peter Woods is an absolute stud. The Giants' D-line does look very good. Their O-line continues to be not so good. Spencer Fano out of Utah is arguably the best offensive lineman in this draft with positional flexibility to play guard or tackle. He's a really good athlete, easy fluid mover, and could be one of the top players selected in 2026. The Giants need so much help on that offensive line. If you want Jackson Dart to be your QB of the future, you need to protect him. And this draft has some pretty good tackles. We'll see who takes steps, who develops, but this is a pretty good tackle class. Of course, as a lot of drafts are at this time, it's lacking on the interior. We'll see how that changes. Receiver's also not that strong. Running back is not that strong. Linebacker has a couple names to watch out for, but nobody that I really expect to be a top, 5 or 10 selection. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm a big Anthony Hill guy, of course. Hook 'em. CJ Allen's a good player too. We'll talk about some of those guys as we get more, through this first round here. And we'll talk about the Jets at number 4. I've got Lenoris Sellers. I think Sellers is a dog. I mean, this guy is an explosive play waiting to happen. He has probably the best sack avoidance of any quarterback I've ever seen. I know that sounds crazy to say, but Lenoris Sellers is just on a different level. You can't bring him down in the backfield. You just can't do it. And when we talk about sacks in football, they are drive killers. It's like, an intentional grounding or holding. You're backing up, you're losing the down, obviously, when you take a sack there. If you are at 2nd and 15 plus, it's hard to get a first down out of that. 3rd and 15, obviously, it's basically impossible. Not impossible, but, it's a very low likelihood of actually converting there. And a lot of teams, a lot of play callers are conservative as a result. So taking sacks is just drive over, in a way, a lot of the time, right? So when Lenoris Sellers has this unbelievable ability to avoid being sacked, you keep a lot more drives alive. And with his ability as a runner, you're able to convert and pick up a lot of first downs on what would appear to be dead plays. He's still raw as a passer. He's still developing. The arm talent, I would say, is definitely there, working on the accuracy part of that arm talent, but the potential is there. It's a very early season mock draft. We're going to see what Lenoris Sellers can continue to put on film throughout 2025, but the potential is there, and I think Lenoris is as fun of a player as you're going to find in this draft. We're going to see if he can be a little bit more consistent over the course of this season. Titans at 5. I would love for this to be Caleb Downs because he's just such an awesome player. I'm going to go Peter Woods. The interior defensive line for the Titans is good. I love Jeffrey Simmons. He's 30-ish now, so you could consider, looking to get him some help, maybe a future replacement. When you're drafting a player in the top 5, it's more BPA than almost anything else. The Titans team overall is pretty rough. They were picking at number 1 overall last year for a reason. Does Caleb Downs help you as much as Peter Woods does? I don't think so. I love T'Vondre Sweat. Horns up. Hook him. He's not the pass rusher that Peter Woods is. And I just look at the best player available at this spot. To me, it's Peter Woods. Plain and simple. That ends up being the selection here. It's not like the Titans are so good on the interior defensive line that they can't afford to bring in a third option. I just think he's too good to pass on at this particular moment. I'm just that high on him as a player. Again, he was going into the season as my number 1 player in the draft from the players I watched. So I think Woods is fantastic and is worth the selection here at 4. He is really a number one overall pick type contender depending on who has the pick. We think it's probably going to end up being a quarterback because that's just what happens nowadays. Panthers at 6. Caleb Downs would be a fun selection here too. I'm going Reuben Bain. I liked him coming into the year, but this was another case of, okay, good athlete. How consistent can he be? Well, early on in the year, he has been a game wrecker type of player. He is all over the field making plays. He is a tremendous athlete with obviously really good size, 6'3", 250 plus pounds, with explosiveness for days. He is a really, really nice player, and the Panthers' pass rush is really not very good. Bain, I think, would help out quite a bit. Raiders at 7. So this is a bit of a weird pick because the Raiders, could they consider a quarterback at this range? I guess they could, right? Because Geno is somebody that is quite good in my opinion. I'm not going to say great, but is quite good, but is a little bit older. Could you potentially look to get his long-term replacement with somebody that you develop? I think it's a possibility. I think that offensive line could absolutely use some work. Is Colton Miller going to be a Raider long-term? I think so, right? But what about right tackle? I think DJ Glaze is there right now, and that is an upgradable piece for sure. And this, again, is a pretty good tackle class, but maybe you would consider taking best player available. You lose Trayvon Merrick to the Panthers. I think Downs is a real leader at the back end of any secondary, and he could be as high as we've seen a safety get drafted in some time now. He's a really, really good player. You look at how Kyle Hamilton fell down the board a little bit. I think Downs is a better prospect than Kyle Hamilton, and I think teams are going to jump at the opportunity to take him. Kind of an interesting connection here, but Chip Kelly, the new Raiders OC, was, of course, at Ohio State with Caleb Downs. There's a little bit of a connection there, even if he wouldn't be coaching him directly. I think you could probably speak on not only the player, but the person, and the tape is phenomenal. I think this could be a good pickup for the Raiders. Again, similarly to the Titans, just go BPA. I know the positional value is not great, but Caleb Downs is a stud. Bears at number 8. This, to me, feels like an easy pickup. Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, goes to the Bears here. This is Ben Johnson's Jahmyr Gibbs. That's what this would be, right? Love has extreme explosiveness and speed. He is a home run play waiting to happen. That was Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of Alabama, of course, the Georgia Tech transfer. Love is, I think, an upgrade long-term over DeAndre Swift without question, and a running back worth the pick at top 10 when it's as valuable to the Ben Johnson offense as we know that it is. I love Roschon Johnson. I hope he comes back healthy, and DeAndre Swift is definitely an NFL running back. But Jeremiah Love, I think, would be a good long-term upgrade for this offense and give Ben Johnson a little bit more flexibility there as we get to the Colts at number 9. I'm going with Fernando Mendoza. You know, I kept this, I think, the same as my way too early 2026 mock draft, keeping Fernando Mendoza in state. It's another one of those instances of, okay, this guy's got a ton of potential, a lot of NFL caliber traits. Can he put it together over a full season? He flashed at Cal, but what can he do as a starter with Indiana this season? And week 1 was a little bit rough, and then week 2 he started to dial in, really make some plays. He's got real NFL size. He's a friend of the channel as well, so you know he's a smart guy. And I think he'd be a really fun fit to stay in state here in Indiana and be the quarterback of the future for the Colts. This team on paper has talent. Quarterback is missing. If you are going to be fooled by the Daniel Jones week 1 game, I don't really know what to tell you. That's not the player that Daniel Jones is, most probably. He doesn't really give you the ability to push the ball down the field the way Fernando Mendoza can, in my opinion. And when you look at that receiving core with Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, enter Tyler Warren, Adonai Mitchell hopefully developing. The O-line is not awful at all. This is a real ideal scenario for a rookie quarterback. I think Mendoza is a great pickup here at number 9. We'll see how he continues to progress over this 2025 college football season. Browns at 10. I'm going Caden Proctor here. Proctor is the ultimate potential guy. And then we're going to say potential a lot in this video because it's a lot about what are we going to see? What can Manning do over a full season? What can Sellers? What can Bain? What can Mendoza? Proctor's like that. Another larger-than-life type of player, 6'7", listed close to 370. There are a bunch of huge tackles in this class. Isaiah World is as big as the world at 6'8". Francis Mauigoa is quite a big player as well. That's not to mention Xavier Chaplin, who is gigantic at close to 350 at 6'7". Proctor is the biggest, really, of them all in terms of height, size. Arm length is going to be significant as well. And he can be a people mover, but can he be consistent? The Browns, last time they took an Alabama tackle, didn't really work out that great in Jedrick Wills, who's currently out of football. I don't know what the deal is with that. I think he's trying to come back next season. It's weird. But don't let the helmet fool you. Proctor has big-time potential. We know the Browns like their big tackles. You got DeJuan Jones out there, but with the injury history and contract situation for Jack Conklin and DeJuan Jones really being kind of a question mark in general, I think Proctor would be somebody that makes sense here at number 10. We'll see how his development continues through 2025. Rams at 11 via the Falcons. Of course, the Falcons gave up a first-round pick to move back into the first to get James Pierce Jr., right? Well, this is the Rams pick now, courtesy of Atlanta. And the Rams, for me, are a team that could absolutely consider a quarterback. Again, I don't think this QB class is spectacular by any means, but again, you have guys with potential. Drew Aller is one of those guys with potential. Has he fully shown it yet? Well, he's flashed, but he doesn't have that consistency yet. I think with a good season at Penn State here and really being a more consistent player, Aller's going to be in this first-round conversation again. Prototype NFL type size here at quarterback, and you're looking for better decision making and better accuracy, of course, but the overall arm strength is fantastic. He's got some improvisational ability. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a gigantic strength by any means, but I think it's just a good fit here to team up with a great offensive mind in Sean McVay. I think he would be able to get the most out of Aller, but in terms of any quarterback here, we will see probably at least 2 or 3 quarterbacks going round 1. But do I feel good about any of these quarterbacks as first-round picks at this point? They all have downsides. They all do. And that includes Cade Klubnik, Sam Levitt, John Mateer, who has definitely looked pretty good to start 2025. Carson Beck has as well. There are other quarterbacks even that are draft eligible that are not even included here on PFF. Eli Holstein, another friend of the channel. Another real high IQ quarterback, at least for that reason. And I would say Dante Moore from Oregon is a player I would like to have in here. And there are so many good quarterbacks here that we're seeing take steps up and look really good. And not all of them are draft eligible. Of course, you have, it's quite a name out of Cal, but Jaron Kiave Sungapolatele. I might have butchered that, but it's close out of Cal. Definitely has some big-time potential. Dylan Lonergan has already flashed at Boston College. Bo Perbula at Mizzou has looked pretty good. I mean, there are a bunch of quarterbacks. Aiden Childs is somebody that I think could look like a nice option down the line here. We'll have to see what his season has in store. And then Taylon Green's a great athlete, but we'll see, right? Byron Brown has looked great, but I don't think he's going to be this big-time prospect. Baron Morton is a really good, accurate, smart, safe quarterback. I'm not a huge Nico Iamaleava guy, but there's so many quarterbacks to talk about in this draft. I don't know who are going to be the guys that rise. Aller at least has that 5-star prospect pedigree with potential. We'll see, again, what 2025 looks like. At number 12, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Their offense is good. The O-line, for the most part, is good. The receiving core, for the most part, is good, but we'll see what it looks like going into 2026 because who knows who's going to be back. I don't know if George Pickens will be back. I don't know if Jalen Tolbert is going to be there long term. What you really question with the Cowboys is that defense. That pass rush is awful. They trade Micah Parsons. Another reason why we're doing this mock draft. They trade their best player in the prime of his career because they don't want to extend him. And now you look at their pass rush, It is atrocious. It is maybe the worst pass rush in the NFL. Their linebacking core is not great overall, and you're going to have holes at cornerback coming up. This Cowboys defense is a bit of a mess, but thankfully, this class has some really, really good pass rushers. And that is TJ Parker, it's Keldrick Falk, it is Ruben Bain, obviously, as well. It's Peter Woods, if you want to include interior defensive line. And that is just the start. LT Overton is a player that's flashed in the past. I want to see him be more consistent, but he's a really good kind of inside-outside versatile type of player. Probably will be a full-time edge. He's lost a little bit of weight. R. Mason Thomas is maybe a little bit undersized, but is shot out of a cannon every play. I mean, this edge rush class is actually fantastic, in my opinion. David Bailey is a name to watch. Mateo Uiagalelei is kind of like an upgraded JT Tuimoloau, maybe. Kenyatta Jackson, Tyreek Sapp. I really like these guys. Dennis Sutton has definitely been a name to watch if you've seen any Penn State games over the past few years. He's been a really nice number 2. Cassius Howell had 3 sacks last week and was already a name to watch for me. I think I put him at the back end of my way too early 2026 mock draft. Derek Moore is quite a nice player. Suntarine Perkins is highly productive, but with his size, he's not going to be an NFL edge rusher. So I don't know what exactly he's going to do. We'll see what Princewell, Uman Mielen, and Patrick Payton will look like in 2025. But, man, this edge rush class looks really, really good. So it's a good time for the Cowboys to upgrade their pass rush. TJ Parker's in that top 5 conversation. Keldrick Falk is in that top 5 conversation. I'm going to go TJ Parker here. Falk is more of the inside-outside guy of the two. Parker's the true edge rusher. That's not to hate on Keldrick Falk in any way, but he's just way bigger. And I don't think his projection's going to be the same for every team in the draft, the way TJ Parker is just truly just an edge rusher. Explosive, and the Cowboys need help off the edge. It is a truly awful group. No disrespect intended. Patriots at 13. For the same reasons that you like Keon White, maybe you like Keldrick Falk here out of Auburn. I think he's a great player, again, in that top 5 conversation in this draft for me. And the Patriots pass rush is just not all that good either, right? And I don't know that bringing in Harold Landry from Tennessee is a big upgrade. I think you really need a lot more. I think this is a team that could also consider offensive tackle, but this is a team that just isn't that good in general, and I think BPA is not the worst way to go about things. As we get to the Seahawks at 14, I think offensive tackle is another potential position of need. You could invest in the defense, but I look at their receiving core, and outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm not really sure what you have there long-term. Cooper Kupp is not somebody I think you can necessarily rely on. You lose DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh. You lose Tyler Lockett, even though that was probably time. You just need more. And I think Jordan Tyson would be a nice complement with Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's got definitely more size than JSN, but is someone that can also thrive in the slot. But of course, with Seattle, he'd be playing on the outside. Probably wide receiver 1 in this class right now. I like him quite a bit as a player. I think he's a good fit here for Seattle at 14. Again, I could absolutely see them going tackle here or something on the other side of the ball, but I'm going to go Jordan Tyson here as we get to the Steelers at 15. We've seen the Steelers do this before. I'm going quarterback in the middle of the first round, and that quarterback for me is going to be Sam Levitt. Did not look that great on Saturday, but I think he's got NFL traits. He's got starter-type upside. He is a really good athlete, great improviser, great at extending plays, and if you saw Sam Levitt last year, you know what type of player he can be. We'll see if he can continue to build off that 2024 season. This season, I think with any young quarterback, you can expect some bad games from time to time. Tough environment, truly, going into Mississippi State. I know they only won 2 games last year. They have 2 wins already this year, and beating Arizona State is a big, big win. Sam Levitt did not play his best, but this could still end up being a first-round quarterback in the 2026 NFL Draft. Vikings at 16, going Jermod McCoy. This is another team that I think consider a lot of different positions. Christian Darrisaw has been injured way too much. It sucks. He's a great player, but is tackle potentially in play or something on the O-line? Because it wouldn't be bad to draft, you know, let's say a guard that has tackle flexibility like Donovan Jackson, for example. So then if you have an injury, you can just kick that player out to tackle, and then it's not as dire as it has been. That's kind of why I like the Donovan Jackson pickup. But, of course, you know, he's probably going to be a guard long term. He's not necessarily going to step in at tackle. But I also look at corner and I say, wow, the depth is not that great. And I think just Jermod McCoy has starter potential. I think safety's in play when you look at the age of everybody, but there's not really a safety here worth taking. So Jermod McCoy ends up being the selection. I like their edge rush group for the future. Interior defensive line or linebacker could be something they could consider, right? There are a lot of different things the Vikings could consider here, but I think cornerback is ultimately where I fall, and Jermod McCoy could be the best in this class. Dolphins at 17. I'm going back-to-back corners. This team needs corner more than anybody else. Avion Terrell is the little brother of A.J. Terrell. He is a little bit smaller at 5'11", 180 pounds, but is a dog. Feisty, and I think the Dolphins could use more of that. This team is genuinely very bad. I don't know if I realized how bad it was going into 2025, but we saw it with Indianapolis. They got dog-walked. And I think the Dolphins could be a team firmly picking inside the top 10 by the time the 2026 NFL Draft comes around if they don't bounce back in a big way. Yes, they've got playmakers. They've got some big names. But do they have the playmakers at positions that really impact the game and really matter? Can you win up front? Can you win in the trenches? I don't know that the Dolphins can do that. And corner is also extremely weak. It's awesome to have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You know, you can go on and on, Devon Achane. But if you don't have the pass rush, if you don't have the strength up front on the O-line, if you don't have the cornerbacks to take away these all-star receivers with other teams, you're going to struggle. And I don't think there's a team that needs corner more than the Dolphins. And I also think this is a team that could really benefit from hitting the reset button and trading Tyreek Hill, for example. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but I would not be entirely shocked, even though I'll put out a tweet acting like I am, if Tyreek Hill is moved at some point this season. But come the trade deadline, I think Tyreek Hill could be wearing another team's jersey. Not saying he will, but I think it's a non-zero possibility. And this Dolphins team would certainly benefit from another first-round pick if they could get one. They might be a bit of a ways away, and cornerback is really, really bad. Avion Terrell could certainly help out. Cardinals at 18. I think this could be a tackle. You got to protect Kyler Murray, but you could also really benefit from running the ball. And that's what a lot of these big-time tackles can help you do. Caleb Lomu makes up the best tackle duo in college football at Utah with, of course, Spencer Fano. Both of them really have flexibility to play multiple positions. And I think Caleb Lomu could end up being a starter at right tackle, even though currently the Utah right tackle is Spencer Fano. So Lomu's an interesting player. And for the Cardinals, I just think right tackle is probably a pretty big hole for them. And if you want to compete in this NFC West when you have these pass rushes getting better and better and better, how are you going to block Jared Verse and Byron Young? You need more help to stop these super juiced up explosive edge rushers. I think Caleb Lomu can help you do that. As we get to the Broncos at 19, this is a player I just happen to like quite a bit. And it's interesting to see PFF being quite high on them as well. Mekhi Lemon, former 5-star receiver, and is a really, really good player. Now, there is a thought that maybe he's just going to be a slot receiver at the next level, but I kind of think that matters less and less because we've seen another USC receiver that was just completely going to be an NFL slot that is a great NFL slot. That is the main receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do you need a receiver that is a bona fide X if they can get open, if they have explosiveness, if they catch everything? That's Mekhi Lemon. So is this a guy that can win on the outside? I actually think so, but even if he's just a slot, I think he's going to be a big-time playmaker, similarly to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Doesn't quite have the same play strength, in my opinion, but he is more explosive probably than Amon-Ra St. Brown and catches everything. I'm not just going to say, hey, slot receiver from the same school. This is Amon-Ra St. Brown because it's not. But I think you could see a similar usage for the two. And Lemon is just such an awesome player. And with Sean Payton here, I think this is a match made in heaven. I think the Broncos could use more weapons, and certainly someone like Lemon could be a really, really fun selection as we get to the Texans at number 20. Their offensive line is awful. I mean, they traded away Laramie Tunsil for why? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. They're going with just a complete ragtag group of offensive linemen to protect what they want to be their franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud. You got to help him. Stroud, I think, is a stud, but between this awful offensive line and Bobby Slowick last year into learning a new offense this year, it might be a really bad season for Houston. They're a fun team. I don't want them to be bad because they've got fun players, but man, I don't know what they're doing from a personnel standpoint. When you trade away Tunsil, you don't really prioritize adding receiver at all. You trade away John Mechie. It just feels like this team is not going to be that great in 2025. And I say they didn't prioritize adding receiver at all. Yes, I know they took a couple of Iowa State guys, and I think, Higgins was a top 40 selection, but I don't know that they really have that guy outside of Nico Collins to rely on. And I really question the team building right now. I think this needs to be a tackle. You've got to protect C.J. Stroud. And if we're going to talk about potential, it's hard to get more than Xavier Chaplin. He was a transfer from Virginia Tech, and he is, again, gigantic, but is a good athlete. We'll see if he can be the player that guys expect him to be in 2025, because the potential is outstanding with his overall size and athleticism for that size. So Chaplin is definitely one to watch. Chargers at 21. Again, another player I expected to be way, way further down the PFF big board that is not, and that's Kenyon Sadiq. He is a star. This is a stud player. I think he'd be a really, really fun fit with the Chargers. He's a little bit undersized by tight end standpoint or standards, but this guy is a great receiver, explosive, and he blocks his ass off. And what is valuable, you'd think, to the Chargers than that at tight end? Jim Harbaugh could get Justin Herbert a big-time weapon. Sadiq can be an inline tight end at less than 250 pounds. He blocks his tail off. He's a great receiver, in my opinion. He's tight end one for me. And you look at the tight end class, it's not phenomenal, but I think Sadiq is the clear number one at this point right now. Commanders at 22. I think this is a really good fit in the Dan Quinn defense. It's Mateo Uiagalelei from Oregon. Back-to-back Ducks off the board here. Seems like a prototypical 4-3 defensive end for Dan Quinn. And Uiagalelei, of course, the younger brother of DJ Uiagalelei, the quarterback / Dodgers pitcher. We'll see what happens with that. Probably nothing. But Mateo, good player, solid in really all phases. This is one of those guys that I said this about JTT last year, where it's like JT Tuimoloau is a solid player. He's easy to throw in the first round of mock drafts, even though I don't expect him to be a first round pick. He'll go probably somewhere mid second round, and that's about what happened to JT Tuimoloau. Just like Tuimoloau, Uiagalelei has really good size. He's polished enough. He's going to be a solid player. He'll be an NFL starter. I don't know what the true upside is. I think Uiagalelei has a bit more than JT Tuimoloau, but again, we'll have to see what 2025 has in store. It's so early, because a lot of these players are going to take steps back, and a lot of these players will take steps up. This first round mock draft, I might hit 15 that end up going in the first round, right? That would be maybe. We'll have to see what happens, but he's a solid player. Got to improve this pass rush if you're Washington. I think Uiagalelei is a decent fit. Bengals at 23, I'm going Caleb Banks, another guy that just happens to be right here. Their defense is really bad. Caleb Banks would be an upgrade on the interior. Could you consider an edge rusher long-term? You've swung and missed a lot, but if you can keep Trey Hendrickson long-term, I think Shamar Stewart's going to end up being a really nice player, even though nobody else seems to agree. We'll see what happens. I know he's going to be solid against the run, but can he evolve as a pass rusher? We'll see. Caleb Banks is a really good pass rusher up the interior and would be a good start to building this defensive line, but they need help all over the defense. If this isn't a defensive player, I would be shocked. At 24, have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going C.J. Allen. Every mock draft cycle, I have the Bucs taking their linebacker, the future post Levante David. It hasn't happened. C.J. Allen could be the one that breaks that. He's a really, really nice player. He's got really good size, great athleticism, and I think it's tough to get linebackers in the first round, but C.J. Allen definitely makes sense here. As we get to the Niners at 25, I'm going back-to-back linebackers. Give me my guy, friend of the channel as well, Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas. He's another dog. I mean, this guy flies around the field making plays. I think prototypical Sam linebacker, can rush the passer, is a really good athlete, but I think he's really at his best when blitzing. And I think he'd be a nice Dre Greenlaw replacement long term. And I think he could be a first-round pick. Could also see a tackle here maybe for San Francisco. A lot of different options. Rams at 26. I'm going Francis Maui-Noah here from Miami. Maui-Noah is another one that has some hype. Former top prospect, really good size. This is like prototypical tackle size, 6'6", 315. He can be a mauler. I think the Rams are looking for a Rob Havenstein replacement long term. I think that's what Francis Maui-Noah can do for you. Cowboys at 27. Going Sonny Styles. I said it's tough to get a linebacker in the first round, and then I'm going 3 out of the last 4 picks as linebackers. Former safety that is hard to tell that he's a former safety because he just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't know he was quite 6'5", but I knew he was close to 240 pounds. He has kind of kept his defensive back type movement skills despite being as big as he is now. And that's just a really, really fun player. You look at Dallas, again, the defense is really bad. They could go a number of different ways here. I wouldn't be shocked to see this be a receiver. And there are some fun ones down here. It's just tough to know who's going to be a first-round pick. Jacoby Lane's a fun player. Nicholas Harbor is a freak athlete. I like Bryce Lance a lot. Trey Wilson, Deion Burks, Nick Anderson. Like, it's going to be interesting to see who has a really good season here. And, of course, the guys at the top, like Denzel Boston, I can see being a first-round pick. I think Carnell Tate ends up being a top 40 guy. Eric Singleton, transfer from Georgia Tech. I'm excited to see what he can do. And then you have really the outlier, or the wild card maybe I should say, Chris Bell. Chris Bell is 6'2", 220, and is a really, really good athlete. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do in 2025. But he could easily be a first-round pick, maybe the first or second receiver off the board. That's a possibility, in my opinion. I will, of course, have to see what happens. But I ended up just going with a linebacker for the Cowboys. They need to improve their defense. And Sonny Styles, I think you can really line up all over the defense and potentially get impact at a lot of different spots. They need to improve the pass rush, but Sonny Styles can play off the ball and also be an impact player as a blitzer. And speaking of Ohio State linebackers, we got to get Arvell Reese in the pool. He's not in here anywhere, and he has looked really, really good so far. Those are letters that don't fit, but no Arvell Reese anywhere in the PFF mock draft simulator. He looked great against Texas. He's a really good athlete with great size. I think he's going to be a lock day 2 pick if he doesn't go in round 1. So got to get him in the mock draft simulator. Got to have a word to Trevor Sikkema about that. As we get to the Chiefs at 28. And I've got DJ McKinney. McKinney is definitely one of the top corners in this draft. He's got really good overall length, which I know people freak out when I say something like that, but it's just height and arm length, which is valuable at corner. We'll see what type of step A.J. Harris is able to take. I like Malik Muhammad because, of course, hook him, but I don't know if he's got the size and athleticism that warrants being a first-round pick. I don't think he's even quite as big as 6 foot, 188. We'll see what the official measurements end up being there, but I think he's going to be a guy that runs in the 4.5s. Again, we'll see. I like him as a player, of course, hook him, but I don't really think he's necessarily a lock first-round guy. Will Lee, I think, might have a better chance to go round 1. He's got legit size. He's feisty. Mansour Delane is one to watch as well. I think he could be a back into the first-round pick. And I'm going to go DJ McKinney, though. McKinney, I think you're going to see really, really step into that CB1 role this year. No Travis Hunter. They're missing him for sure. But McKinney could be quite a good replacement and a shot to go in round one. Lions at 29. Going Connor Lew here out of Auburn. Starting center. Graham Glasgow currently in at center. Another friend of the channel. Graham's great, but Graham's also old. I don't know if he's going to play forever. Frank Ragnow retires. You got to look to get more in there long term. And I know they drafted Tate Ratledge, but Lew is definitely a good option in the future here to start at center. Ravens at 30. Give me Mansour Delane here. Corner, and really the defense in general, is not great in Baltimore. Mansour Delane is someone that is maybe not the best athlete ever. We'll see what the testing looks like. Another transfer, but he's another dog, and that's what I like a corner. Someone that's feisty, someone that's not afraid to come up and hit, someone that's not afraid to press, someone that just really wants it more. And you have that dog mentality at corner. Those are the guys that are effective in the NFL. And I look at the Ravens, and I think corner, if you're out there throwing Jair Alexander as a starter in 2025, you're in trouble. He looked really, really bad in week one. Injuries are always a problem with him, but I think Delane could be a good fit here. LSU corner goes at number 30 to the Ravens. As we get to the Eagles at 31, this just feels like an Eagles type pick. I'm going tackle. I'm going Isaiah World. He's somebody that, again, is a transfer, is gigantic. We'll see what the development looks like over 2025, but if you get him with Jeff Stoutland at Stoutland University with the Eagles, I'm sure he's going to end up being a good player, and this is your long-term Lane Johnson replacement at right tackle. It'd be a tough combo for the future with the size that the Eagles continue to put on the offensive line with guys that can actually really move. He's not Lane Johnson, who was a phenomenal tackle prospect, former tight end, and now a Hall of Famer, or will be, but he's got the potential to develop into being a starter there. As we get to the Bills at 32, no Cade Klubnik in the first round for me, but again, the quarterback class is weird. We're going to see what ends up happening, but I don't think Klubnik is a lock first rounder. I didn't think so in my 2026 way too early NFL mock draft. I don't think he's a lock first rounder now. We'll see what 2025 has in store. But for the Bills, I think your defense is a need. I could consider receiver here, but ultimately with the age and current talent off the edge, I am going to go with an edge rusher, and it's really so many different guys you can get in here. But with the current guys on the depth chart, and I'll even pull that up here, Greg Rousseau, Joey Bosa, Landon Jackson, AJ Epineza, I'm looking for someone that can be more of maybe a true designated pass rusher, somebody that can really, really show juice off the edge, more so than just a bigger body like an LT Overton, even though I really like the player. I'm really considering R. Mason Thomas here, but I'm going to end up going Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. I think he really, really flashed last year and has already done so this year. He's definitely in the mix to be a first-round pick off the edge here, and Buffalo could be a solid landing spot. So that is the too early 2026 NFL mock draft. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. This is going to change a lot over the next several months, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.